everything about him. These guys go in there and they get out to a quick start. Ajim's one of them. Loves to have those quick first-round finishes. We'll see how he does here with a very good veteran opponent. I like this matchup. I think this is the kind of guy that could test Ajim, and if he gets through this one quickly, you know, it tells you a lot about where his career could be going here.
Once again, looking for that counter 1-2 early on.
This fight not being very long.
Oh,
here we go. Oh, what?
Very interesting. Ajim, wait a minute.
That's it.
It's over.
Yeah, he doesn't know where he's at.
Hit too hard. You really have to back that one up.
I hope he does.
Asik Lafrique, you can really kind of be any kind of style here in the cage. But here we go with the first fight of the night live from the Mass Mutual Center in Springfield, Massachusetts. CES 63 is underway. Asik Ajim, you can see as the aggressor here in the opening seconds of the fight.
Oh, tagged him pretty quickly.
Oh, it's over. That's
wow.
gonna be the end of the
Wow, look at that.
Now you see Asik really piling it on with the elbows here. Bernard trying to cover
Those
up
are
and turn over.
Pistons right there. Those elbows are so fierce. And there it goes.
One underway in this bantamweight bout. CES 61 live from the tent at the Crown Plaza Hotel on UFC Fight Pass. Michael Parenti joined by Joe Lozon. Now, both fighters have red and black trunks, so if you are confused with who is who, Chris Matino has the green hair. That's all I can tell you.
Is it green hair or is it blue hair? That's what I was just going to ask.
A little turquoise.
It's kind of, I wonder if he knew he was going to be the blue corner. He's got the blue tape. It matches his blue hair.
I thought Eddie George was bringing the heat with his hairstyle tonight, but Matino might have him beat by a slight edge.
Going to give him props for having the time to go and dye his hair blue to match the tape.
Well, you get bored during a pandemic. What are you going to do? Big fight for both guys, Joe, as we mentioned. Chris Matino, 7-4, needing to get back in the win column. Asik Ajim, this could be a big win on his resume if he's able to secure it. This would really propel him up the rankings even further.
Asik is really attacking that lead leg of Matino. He's kicked that leg like maybe 6 or 7 times already.
There it is again. 3 more times since you just spoke.
Yep.
Matino now trying to return the favor with a little right-left combo. Nice action early on in this bout.
Matino's probably taken 12 kicks to that leg already. You know, at this point, he needs to really kind of step up his game a little bit and start trying to bring some pressure on Asik Ajim. If he doesn't, he will not be standing for round 2.
We know Ajim's a quick finisher. He had 5 first-round knockouts as an amateur. He's had 2 knockouts as a pro, 1 also in the first round. So you know coming out he's going to come out and come after right away.
He is. And he's showing that crisp striking right away.
I'm liking what I see from Matino, though. Eats a jab there, but comes right back with the right hand. Again eats that jab. Ajim just snapping his head back. Stiff left jab, now a right-left by Matino. Ajim trying to go back to that leg kick again. Oh, big right hand by Ajim, and that's not going to do it. Ajim actually waiting for him to get up. Looked like for a second the referee was going to step in.
Matino should have taken a little bit more time. He should have taken a little bit more time to kind of recollect himself. You know, he did not have to get up right away.
Very odd sequence there, Joe. I thought for a second it was out. I thought Matino was out on his feet. That leg kick again this time sends Matino to the canvas. That leg's wobbly.
Matino's going to have to switch his stance. He's getting tagged.
Another right hand by Matino. I mean, Ajim rather, as Matino backs up.
Matino lands a good left hand.
It seems like for every shot Matino lands, Ajim lands 1 or 2 right flush to the chin. You see that head snapping back. Ajim is so poised too, Joe.
Matino's tough, but Asik is just picking him apart a little bit.
Look at Ajim fighting off the cage, Joe. A right and left with his back against the cage.
That's
no sign of fear. It really is difficult to do. It shows a lot of poise and just shows that cool collective attitude. But Matino now charging in with a couple. Left hand by Matino.
Matino's landed some really good shots. Last couple shots have been really good.
And here comes Ajim again with the leg kick.
Oh, good right hand by both guys.
I mean, for every shot, you've got 2 shots on the other end. Nice left by Matino, going back to the leg kick. Ajim working the body, going back upstairs. A left and right. Matino Ajim rather trying for the head kick. We still got 1:48 to go in this round. This is unbelievable.
Matino just got rocked by a jab. It was a straight jab he got rocked by. He's got to be careful.
And not the first time in this round that's happened. You hear Matino's corner saying, don't stand there and slug, but now the elbow, or the knee rather, drives Ajim back to the canvas.
It's hard sometimes. You know, guys get hit with a punch or they get hit with a shot, and then they feel like they have to answer. They have to retaliate. They got to come back with something right away. And sometimes it's like, okay, like you got hit with a big shot. You return something that's not nearly as heavy, and something more heavier comes back to you.
A slight break in the action, if you can call it that, as the 2 clinched against the cage. But that's the most you're going to get in terms of a break here in this opening round. Ajim again, nice right hand off the cage. 1 minute to go.
I'm shocked that Matino is still on his feet. He's eating a lot of shots. You know, Ashik Ajim was doing really well with kicking the lead leg. I'm surprised he hasn't gone back to it.
It seems like you get out of that once it turned into more of a brawl. And sometimes that can happen, right, Joe? You kind of get anxious, you kind of get excited.
Dragged into it a little bit.
Sure.
You know?
These guys love to trade, and who wouldn't?
If this does make it to the second round, I'm sure that Ashik Ajim's going to come back out, you know, kicking that leg quite aggressively to start the second.
And one of those leg kicks actually sent Matino to the canvas, so you know there's a little bit of a...
Matino hurt him. I think Matino hurt him. He hit him with a good left hand and then hit him with a knee.
We'll see if Ajim slows his pace a bit here in these final 30 seconds, maybe trying to recover and get his legs back. But perhaps not.
I think Matino has definitely recovered from before. Like before, when he got dropped, like it seemed like every shot that was hitting him was seemed like it was a big shot, but he seems to have recovered now.
3 unanswered shots there by Matino, but again, Ajim fighting his way off the cage. I would say the last 45 seconds to a minute's actually really gone Matino's way here, despite how the first half of the round went.
Yep, it has. You know, you have to wonder if Ashik has maybe gassed himself a little bit.
Very interesting concept here. Ajim came out swinging early, threw a lot of punches, threw some leg kicks, and you're right, maybe he ran out a little bit of his steam toward the end of the round, and you kind of wonder how the judges look at some of these rounds. Here's some of the action here, Joe. You saw Matino land a right and left against the cage right at the start of that clip. And there's Ajim. There's that right hand just caught him flush. And we thought it was over for a second there. I thought
like
the
it was
referee,
a little bit of a mistake to not jump on him. You know, it's great to hit that like walk-off knockout, you know, but now it's, you know, Matino is back in the fight.
It's kind of like a baseball player pimping that home run and it just falls shy of the warning track. And, you should have legged out a double, but you didn't. And, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe Ajim should have dove in there and try to work some ground and pound or start with some hammer fists and get things going. But in any event, Matino got back to his feet and actually got a little bit stronger as the round went on. I think maybe experiencing that early adversity, maybe it kind of psychs him up or maybe feels like he took the best Ajim has to offer. And maybe that can be a factor going into round 2.
Ashik definitely seemed to slow down for the latter part of the first round. You know, you don't wonder if, you know, that little rest off, if now he's recovered a little bit or if, you know, or what's going on.
And I think you're right, too. At the end of that round, Matino did catch him, and he did appear to be hurt a bit. And it really wasn't looked at as much or as deeply, but Ajim maybe did get stunned a bit just to slow that progress. So we'll see how this round starts. Matino tried a couple of head kicks here to come out of round 2. Now going back upstairs, big left and big right. And now Matino coming out swinging.
Each other.
Here we go. No rest for the weary in round 2. Ashik Ajim versus Chris Matino. Round 2 of this bantamweight showdown. And hey, listen, I told you this fight was the one to look out for, and I feel like a prophet right now. This has been fantastic. Matino always brings the pressure, always involved in action-packed fights. And Ashik Ajim, of course, one of the top prospects in the Northeast. So you knew you were bound to get a clash of titans, so to speak, in this bout.
This is a great fight. This is like a fan favorite fight for sure. Guys are just going out there slugging it out, landing good shots, you know, and good variety too. We saw some good leg kicks early in the round, in the first round. We've seen some good knees. Oh, he hurt him. He hurt him.
Matino landed a big right.
Oh, he got his leg kick.
And Ajim followed with the left, and now we got a little bit of action against the cage here. Perhaps just a chance to catch your breath from all these blows that have been traded.
It's hard because, you know, they've been throwing a lot of strikes, you know, but wrestling on the fence is like so tiring sometimes.
Really no break in the action here. And, of course, Joe, this is a difficult pace to keep up. I don't care how your cardio is. And it's one thing to do it in practice or in sparring, but to face someone who's coming to take your head off, a totally different story.
I think this is one of those cases, too, where, like, you know, guys that are very, very talented at fighting, you know, sometimes, like, they've done so much damage to their opponent, but their opponent just keeps on coming. I think this is when, you know, guys that, you know, take their strength conditioning, like, outside the gym, you know, like, you know, more like, you know, going to an actual dedicated place. I think that's when, you know, guys like that tend to do a little bit better.
I think Ajim has really run out of steam here, Joe, and it goes back to your point in the first round about Matino needing to be more aggressive. He's totally been the aggressor here in this second round. He's the one pressing the action. The knee upstairs. Ajim in some trouble now. Matino again driving the right and left over the top. But Ajim keeps trying to fight off the cage, and now going for a takedown, which I think may be a sign of some tiring here because now he doesn't want to trade.
Ashik is tired. Matino is basically being Homer Simpson right now. Oh, he's got a tight guillotine.
Could Ajim have made a mistake maybe trying to go for the takedown? Not necessarily at this moment.
Sometimes you need to shoot that takedown just to tie it up and just stop getting hit for a second. You need that little bit of a break. But Ashik is exhausted right now.
Ajim may have emptied the tank in that opening round. You still have 2.5 to go in round 2 as Matino lands a straight left. Now a right uppercut.
He hurt him there. That's over.
Ajim's in some trouble here. That's going to do it.
Yeah.
Chris Matino with the comeback after a slow start in round 1. He scores the knockout victory. No question about it. The biggest win of his young career.
Let's go.
Welcome back to CES MMA 60. Michael Parenti joined by Filthy Tom Lawler and Joe Lozon, bringing you all the action cage side tonight. This is our third bout of the evening, and we still have 3 world title bouts on deck, so don't go anywhere. All the action coming to you live tonight from Twin River Casino Hotel, and these are the fights, guys, that I love the most. Somebody's O has got to go. Ashik Ajim in the multicolored trunks taking on Andres Cooley Rodriguez in the red. We'll see how this one plays out early on. I expect aggression from both sides. We've seen it in their previous bouts, especially Ashik Ajim. There are those fast hands again, Tom, that we talked about from his last bout.
Cooley able to sneak a few through. He's been the aggressor so far, able to land more punches at least. Varying up the attack with a knee up the middle.
Cooley does a very good job with people aggressive, but hitting with elbows as they're coming on in.
See, it looked like he tried to throw one there.
Talk so much about Ajim's speed, but hey, Cooley's come out here tonight and looking again, like you said, the aggressor, showing some real nice speed there. Good leg kick by Ajim to drop him momentarily to the canvas. Nice short left hand.
Yeah, I think it just caught the front of his leg as he tried to step back and switch stances. He needs to be worried about it. He needs to be careful with that.
Light and fast action here in the first minute of round number 1. This one's scheduled for 3 in the bantamweight division. 2 rising contenders in the Northeast, putting their unbeaten records on the line on UFC Fight Pass. You can't ask for anything more than that.
Joe, correct me if I'm wrong here, but Rodriguez looks like his strength is a counter strike.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, he definitely likes to sit back a little bit and let guys kind of come to him. It's not the most entertaining when someone's moving backwards, but it's really, really good when Ashik is coming forward. It's going to work well for Cooley.
Nice overhand right there.
Oh,
Ajim lands again, then slips, Tom, and then eats a short right on the way up. The action fast and furious here in round 1.
Jim's got this body lock, although it doesn't look like he's working for the takedown. He's just using that right side underhook to control position. He's got his head on the inside, needs to watch the knees coming up the middle from Rodriguez, but he's able to push him against the cage. Going back to the body lock now. And Ajim was kind of the one that landed the better strike there right before the clinch. Separate. Ajim was doing a good job as he was feinting. At the beginning of the fight, his head was stationary. And then before he landed that punch a second ago, that right hand, he was feinting a ton. So we'll see if he goes back to that. Back to the leg kick.
Cooley lands a nice right hand.
Nice right hand and ducks back out of the way. And like you mentioned, Joe, very good counter puncher.
Ashik is doing a good job, though. He's kind of dictating the pace a little bit.
One thing he's doing is he's varying his attack, right? If he just came straight forward, that gives Cooley a real good opportunity to pick up what he's doing. But Ajim feinting, he's throwing kicks, he's feinting the low kick, he's going high with it. So he's doing a very good job of varying his attacks.
You're right, Tom. Changing levels, keeping Cooley guessing as to what's coming. He went upstairs with the head kick.
And that may not pay off right away. It may pay dividends later on in the fight as it goes on, and Cooley thinks he's picking up on some tells from Ajim, but it really feints from him.
Front leg kick that time. 1:38 to go in round number 1. And again, you're right. Ajim just keeps switching things up. You never know what's coming next. Very aggressive, fighting from the center of the cage.
He's been able to inch his way in distance-wise, you know. At the very beginning, Cooley was able to stay on the outside and back up as he was throwing strikes. After that kick that Ajim threw, where Cooley's legs kind of came together, his base was compromised, and he ended up going down to a knee, we've seen kind of a different strategy from Cooley here.
You know, Najim does have that experience against those taller, rangier fighters as we saw in his last fight, so he has an idea and a concept of how to get on the inside. And like you said, he's very patient with the time. He just kind of inches his way in, doesn't try to go for it all at once.
Yeah, that's a mistake a lot of fighters make. They try to throw 1 or 2 strikes to close the distance, when a lot of times it comes down to footwork, small motions with the head, and you'll inch your way in and get into your own distance. And it looks to me like that's what Jim has done over time, although right there Cooley had him figured out and nailed that right hand over the top.
Ashik is doing a really good job of kicking that left leg of Cooley. He's keeping him off balance, not letting him really establish anything, not establish himself as a counter puncher.
What that does, it also takes away the jab of Cooley, right? He can't step and put power on that front leg the more Jim kicks it. So it takes away one of his weapons. And as a longer, rangier fighter like Cooley is, you know, that's a very big weapon.
Nice right hand there by Cooley. Well, they've been few and far in between in this opening round. Final seconds ticking down. And a nice action-packed opener. Good round for Ashik and Jim. Now, Joe, you've seen a lot of Andres Rodriguez throughout your career and training with him. And is he doing enough to use his reach to his advantage in this fight?
He's doing a good job, but Tom hit the nail on the head. Ashik is doing a much better job moving his feet and putting himself in a better spot.
There's some of the replays there. Najim really picking his spots, Tom.
Well, Cooley was doing a great job of backing up and throwing strikes, but unfortunately we're dealing with a cage here, so you can only back up 2 or 3 steps and throw those strikes. And after Jim was able to get in a few times, Rodriguez had to worry about the varying attacks, and that allowed Jim to close the distance and start landing his own punches and kicks.
And neither fighter really too reliant on one style of finish in their careers, and even though it's a small sample size, but they've both gone the distance in fights. Cooley Rodriguez has had a submission victory, so it's a little bit of everything. There's really no one style to pinpoint and zero in on if you're the opponent. It's kind of a mixed bag in this fight,
Joe,
which makes it even more entertaining.
Sorry, Joe, if you were a biased commentator here, what would you be telling Andres Rodriguez?
I would be telling Cooley he's got to pick it up a little bit. He's getting a little more aggressive. He's letting Ashik dominate a little bit too much the positioning of the cage. He's coming out a little bit nicer, being a little more aggressive. That's what he has to do.
Round 2 underway from CES MMA 60 live on UFC Fight Pass. Michael Parenti joined by Joe Lozon and Filthy Tom Lawler, bringing you all the action tonight. Live from Twin River Casino Hotel. And Ajim again very aggressive to open this round.
I don't know if Ajim has taken a step back the entire fight.
He's definitely been leading the fight.
He's had no fear going on the inside against the taller opponent.
Steps in with a big switch kick there, but ate a punch for his troubles.
And now an eye poke. We're going to have a brief stoppage here. The Ashik Ajim will take his time, gets poked right in the right eye.
Triple A probably seeing double here. That poke. The doctor coming in to check him. Looks like he's all right.
Sure. Just a momentary lapse in the momentum, if you will, for Ashik Ajim, who's really applied the pressure from the opening round, as we mentioned. Doctor checking it out, the old flashlight in the eye. Oh, it's been a good start for Ajim, and we saw a lot of that. We didn't really get to see as much of the technique play out in that last fight because he finished so quickly, but you saw some glimpses of it, and now we get an opportunity to see him again. His first fight did go the distance, so we'll see how that arsenal plays out over 2-3 rounds. It seems like he's the kind of fighter that has a game plan when he goes in and just really knows how to execute. He's done a great job thus far. Still kind of walking off the eye poke here.
So an eye poke is always tough. If you get hit with a low blow, you get a full 5 minutes to recover. But when you get poked in the eye, it's really just kind of they drag out your feet a little bit. They have to show the doctor. They talk to the doctor.
There's the replay. Yeah, just kind of try to put his hand up for posturing, and inadvertently, I think with the thumb, got him in the right eye.
I think a lot of eye pokes happen because in boxing gloves, you have a full glove, so your fingers are completely covered. So you're not necessarily always making a great fist. And then as soon as you have the fingerless gloves, people get poked in the eye.
There you go. Those fingers are flying. And that one, unfortunately, pokes Ajim in the eye, but it appears we're ready to go. Fighters in the neutral corner, referee about ready to resume the action, and here we go, round 2. Round 2 of a Schedule 3 in the bantamweight division. Ashik Ajim in the multicolored trunks taking on Andres Rodriguez in the red. Rodriguez trying to go upstairs with a head kick, front kick.
Moving forward a little bit more active pressing action.
Nice little three-punch flurry. None of it landed, but at least it had the right intention.
The one thing that would worry me is that Rodriguez's hands are coming back relatively low, as you can see right there. And if a Jim can kind of time that off of a kick, it could spell danger.
And it looks like he kind of leaves his chin up a bit too, and he throws those flurries, which could be something from a timing perspective that Ajim can take advantage of.
Nice knee up the middle. Came back with it again.
3:32 to go in round number 2. Ajim again on the move.
Shoots in a double leg. And there the height of Rodriguez came into play. He was able to pull Ajim up to the body lock off the double. But that's just the start of the fight with the takedown.
It's the beginning. Cooley did a great job using the overhook to get back up to his feet.
And he's really finding a home with that left knee
Yes.
up the middle. Ajim is, we mentioned he's been feinting a lot, right, which leads to him being able to land some punches, but it also leads to him ducking down. And the more Rodriguez throws that left knee, the more he lands it.
No, that's right, Tom. He landed a good one out of the clinch there.
Kick
off
right
the
to the
cage.
midsection.
Nice counter left by Ajim. But it does look like Rodriguez, Joe, starting to find a little bit of a comfort zone here in the second round.
He's definitely a little bit more of a slower starter. You know, it takes him a little time to get going and kind of find his speed. But Asik had a lot of time to kind of get going too, and he's a little bit more comfortable too.
Well, now Rodriguez is starting to move a little bit more side to side instead of straight forward and backwards, and that's going to allow him to keep that distance as Ajim tries to close it.
A lot more lateral movement here by Rodriguez in round 2, picking his spots against Ajim. Certainly landing more than he did in round 1. A fairly even round up until this point. Another nice exchange between the two in the center of the cage.
Rodriguez lulled him in there, kind of took a lazy step
There's
back.
that knee again, Tom.
It's a double-edged sword because ducking his head and feinting has allowed Ajim to land his best strikes of the fight, but at this point, Rodriguez has the time.
Dipping his head down every single time, Axe is going to be kneed in the face. Kind of a tough fight to score. They kind of been picking away at each other.
I agree. This round has been very competitive. It's been back and forth. Each fighter has had his opportunity or had his moment here. You still have 90 seconds. Somebody could go on the offensive and steal the round. We see a lot of that in both boxing and mixed martial arts.
Jim now going back to that leg kick. We haven't really seen a lot of that in the second round here, but now he's going back to it. It worked so well in the first round. Switch stance as well.
Oh, there's that knee again.
But let him get that takedown.
I thought for a second there that that knee may have stalled his progress, but Ajim actually still burrowed his way in and just picked up Rodriguez and slammed him with the canvas. It's a noteworthy move in a very close round, Tom.
Triple A with the double A Arn Anderson spine buster slam there. Got it in a double leg. That's going to score some points, even though there's no points.
There's no points.
There are
It
theoretical
scores some
points, and you do talk about scoring in the round. You do talk about swaying the judges one way or another as you start to get toward the end of a very close competitive round. And sometimes one slam like that could give you the 10-9 on the scorecard.
When it's a close round, sometimes just the look on your face at the end of the round kind of dictates. You see one guy that's looking a little tired and the other guy is all fired up, you give to the guy that's fired up.
Final 15 seconds of round 2.
I'm not envious of the judges in this round, I'll tell you that much, because I don't know. I guess I'd have to give the edge to Ajim based on that takedown, but Rodriguez had his moments as well.
Sure, I think I agree with you on that. I would say a slight 10-9. If I could give a 10 to 9.5, I would. I know you can't do that, but 2 rounds in the books here as we head into the third and final round of this exciting bantamweight bout. Joe, what's been the biggest takeaway here? What is Rodriguez, or at least what did Rodriguez do better in that round than from the first?
Fortunately for Cooley, Asik was not kicking him in the leg as much. I think that was the big difference. I think Asik did a much better job in the first round attacking the lead leg of Cooley, but Cooley, didn't have to deal with that as much, and he was able to get off some punches and get some good knees in there.
Now, Tom, we haven't seen a lot on the ground outside of that slam. Is there a potential for maybe trying to catch your opponent off guard when that bell rings in round 3, maybe not expecting a takedown, you shoot in for one, and maybe you can change the course of the fight?
It could, but one of the big issues there is every time Ajim changes his level and lowers his level, he's eating that knee. So he has to be very conscious of that. So he needs to mix up his attacks once again. Start going low with the kick, make Rodriguez think about it, and then come back up top.
There was one of those knees as we saw in the replay, but Ajim followed it with a nifty, timely slam. in the final minute of round 2, and maybe that was enough to give him that round. If this fight does go the distance, these scorecards could be very interesting. We've certainly seen it before from our cage side view. Round 3 about to begin. Ashik Ajim taking on Andres Rodriguez. Bantamweight action at CES MMA 60. Once again, Michael Parenti joined by Tom Lawler and Joe Lozon.
Cooley looked like he picked up on the timing of that low kick, at least in the beginning of this round so far. Jim went to it twice, and Rodriguez was able to land 2 right hands right through his guard.
Still anybody's fight. And this round could, of course, go a long way toward determining who wins, depending on how the cards look.
It's always interesting to hear the corner advice from different corners
Right.
when it's a close fight, because sometimes the corners think that they each won 1 round and they got to decide in the 3rd round. Sometimes the corner thinks they're up 2 rounds, they're down 2 rounds. It's like it always kind of varies a little bit on what corners are telling people.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because Tom and I have had this debate about what sometimes the corners should say to the fighter going into a certain round. Do you want to give your fighter the impression that he's ahead, and sometimes he inadvertently takes the foot off the pedal, and you tell him he's behind and needs it?
Nice level change into a big left hook there over the top by Ashik Ajim.
Yeah,
Looks like a
Rodriguez
turnover.
is a little bit wobbly here.
He followed up with a kick to the body as well. Uppercut.
Here comes Ajim, big overhand right. Rodriguez backpedaling on the defensive. And a lot of time, nice left hand by Ajim.
He's landed that left hook multiple times. He lowers his level, comes in over the top. It's a big leaping left, and that's the one that rocked Rodriguez.
Ajim starting to take control here in round 3. He's got a lot of time to do some damage.
Taking the advice from somebody in the crowd, went to the body, then looked to go back up top. Rodriguez there throwing that elbow as Ajim tried to step in. Rodriguez looks like he's complaining about an eye poke,
I think he
perhaps.
may have taken a toe to the eye on that head kick. He's looking toward the ref for it, but the referee's not stopping it, so he's got to pay attention to keep fighting. Not going to get the call on that one. Under 3 minutes to go in the fight, and here comes Ajim again with the right.
Right hand landed at a weird angle over the top there. Snuck that one through.
Nice left on the counter.
That was as Rodriguez stepped in as well, so a little bit of extra mustard on that bad boy.
You can see Ajim's confidence level picking up, as he knows he had Rodriguez hurt and may still have him a little bit wobbly here in this 3rd round.
He's still a little wobbly for sure.
Ajim going back upstairs, left, right, left combo. 2:17 to go. Picking up the pace here, maybe trying to go for the finish. And now the flurries are coming.
Starting to pour it on a little bit. If you remember, Ajim had him rocked in the 1st round, and he tried to put the gas on, and he got stunned in the process. So perhaps that's in the back of his mind here as he looks to get a finish here in the 3rd round.
Nice
Big
left
punch over
hand.
the top.
Rodriguez backpedaling, he's in some trouble now. Under 2 minutes to go, and again, still a lot of time. Big right hand, down goes Rodriguez, and that's going to do it.
Walk-off KO. Ashik
Great
Ajim.
shot.
Another bottom of the 9th walk-off blast here at CES MMA 60. Just a real methodical performance there, Tom, by Ashik Ajim in the 3rd round.
Great performance. You know, like I said earlier, his composure is far, far above his experience level. He was losing in the first 2 minutes of that fight, and he made all the right adjustments to come back and pick up the win here.
I'll tell you, Joe, he really busted up Rodriguez in that 3rd round, and to kind of allude to what Tom said, he was patient. Sometimes a fighter gets a guy hurt, and he gets a little frantic, right? But Ajim wasn't. Take a look at the highlights here from round 3. Just a real patient attack, Joe, by Ashik as he broke him down.
One of the things my coach has always stressed is like quick but not in a hurry. You know, when you hurt someone, the last thing you want to do is rush in and ruin it. You know, if you're landing good shots, be patient. You're going to keep landing those good shots.
There was that left hand that really shook him up right before the finishing blow. That one had him backpedaling, and now you see Ajim, Tom, as you mentioned, starting to pick it up a little bit, keep that foot on the pedal. That big right hand drops him. Referee for a second wasn't sure, but pretty clear that that was the KO. And at least, thankfully, Ashik Ajim walked